This week we're going to show you how to light a set and shoot the final output of a book cover. This is the second of a two-part series on shooting a book cover.
Adorama TV presents Digital Photography One-on-One, where we answer your questions. Here's your host, Mark Wallace.
Hi everybody, welcome to Digital Photography One-on-One. I'm Mark Wallace. Well, this week is the second part of a two-part series. Let's refresh you on the questions that were asked. The first question was, Mark, can you show us some practical examples of real-life lighting design? And the second question was, can you show us how you build your sets? Well, we've already done the second part of that question last week where we showed you how to build a very small set. But this week we're going to be using that set in a photo shoot. Now this photo shoot is for a specific purpose, and that is for a cover of a book. Now this book is all about a girl who can see through this window in a house and she can see the past. And based on what she sees, she can control that, and so she's sort of distraught. And so we have designed this set to sort of emulate the plot of the book. So it's not just a window, it's a specific kind of window, and it's magical. And so what we need to do next is we need to light this so that we can make sure that we have enough room in the composition to show our text, the book title and the name of the author, and then it needs to fall into a very specific design for a book cover. Well, all of that's already been designed by our designer, Michael Ham. And so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to light this set, we're going to shoot it, and then as we're shooting tethered. We're going to drop in those pictures into our InDesign file to make sure everything works. So this is a real live shoot and something that's actually going to be used. So what we need to do is dive in and start shooting. So let's do that next. All right, we're here on set, and Lachelle is our model, and she's dressed up as a 20s flapper because we wanted to match the look of our model with our set. And so Lachelle, let's going to have you come right back here, and she's going to sit in this chair right here, and we're going to show you how we've set everything up. So right over here I have my tether table and my laptop and all my notes and meters and all that kind of stuff. And so we actually built this out as a mock-up about a week ago and shot some stills to make sure that we had everything set. And from that I created this very crude lighting diagram. So I had all my lighting set up here, and we took that as a base point. Now what I'm doing here is we need to make sure that this fits into the design that Michael Ham, our designer, created. And so we're shooting everything tethered. And then from this, we also have InDesign in here in the mock-up of the actual cover. So as we're shooting, we can take the photos, drop them into that design, and make sure that everything aligns so we have our text and everything perfect. So that's why we're shooting tethered. And we have everything going to an external backup drive, and then we have our Tether Pro cable here. Now we're actually using an orange cable, so when all the lights go out, it's easier to see that. And so that's why we're using that. Now we're going to shoot here. Now we have actually 3 lights to this setup. So the key light is actually shooting through the window. It's over here. So this is our key light. Now this is shooting straight through this window, and we're using a standard head. So this is very, very hard directional light, and we've even constrained it with some flags. So we have this big flag right here, and what that is doing is they have this cloth behind the window. We want to make sure this light doesn't fall on that because we want a nice dark background. And then we also have this flag right here, and the reason we have that is because light was spilling onto this front part of this curtain, and that was actually throwing more light into our set than we wanted, and so we were constraining that with this. So we've really tightened down that light. And so if you come around here to the front side of the set, when that light comes in, it comes in just like this and just hits Lachelle and then the back wall here, and basically nothing else. And so we needed to add in some fill. So what we did is we added this light here. It's got a 5-degree grid. You can see this grid, and that really, really restricts the light. And so that is shining right down here on Lachelle's boots. So just right on her foot is this little pool of light right there. And when you see the design, you'll see that there's actually the author's name that sort of goes right here where her knees are, and so we didn't really need to light that up. Well, one of the problems that we had, though, was it looked like this was a light that was dead. And so we needed to add some light inside of this. And so what we did is, if I'll take this cover off, you can see that inside of here we actually have an SB900 little speed light, and that is being triggered by a Pocket Wizard +2. And what that allows us to do is make sure it's synced to all of our ProPhoto lights so everything goes off at the same time. We also added an amber gel to that, so it makes this look more like a tungsten light and gives us this sort of amber color cast, which we really want to match our design that our designer created. So we have that. That's going to add a spill of light here. It's going to light up the back of LaShawn, but we still needed more light because there's no light on this lamp, and so that really fell into darkness. And so what we did is we added a sort of a crazy hair light slash fill light. And so we have this reflector right here. And this reflector right here, there's no light hitting this from our key light, because remember that key light is coming over here. This light really isn't bright enough to do anything. And so what we did is we added this wacky light way up in the air, and that has a snoot on it. So let's walk behind this set, and I can show you exactly how we've done that. Now this is on a Matthews triple riser. This is a Baby Junior triple riser, a really tall stand with the snoot on that. And so we've directed that light to hit the reflector right over here. So that light comes from behind the set, it hits this reflector. We've angled this up so it just hits the top part of this set, because we want just this lamp and we want some of this to sort of fall into darkness. So this is hitting that. The other thing that's awesome about this light is we have just enough spill to hit the top of LaShawn's head, and that gives us a nice sheen on her hair. So all of those lights took us quite a while to dial in, and so we did that over about an hour's time where we just dialed everything in. We also metered everything to make sure the light relationships were perfect. And now that we have that done, we're ready to shoot. So let's do that next. Well, before we start shooting, let me show you why we have this set up here as our tethered capture. This is Michael Ham. He is the designer that created this book cover, and so what he is responsible for doing is looking at the shots that are coming in Lightroom as we're shooting, and then we'll be dropping those into his design and InDesign, and then he can make sure that everything is lined up, and if we need to add pools of light or subtract things, he can be telling me what to do. So let me show you what we've done here on the computer. We have our camera tethered, and so it's coming in to Lightroom, and so we can look at everything and compare exactly what's going on. And then what I can do is I can actually go over to InDesign, and then InDesign there's this blank space right here, and then I can just go into my Finder and pull in the last JPEG image. Now when Michael gets this eventually, he's going to go from the RAW file, which is a much higher resolution. But for now, just for comping, we'll take in the JPEG file. That plops right in there. Then we can sort of hold this down and move it around up and down to make sure that it fits inside his design, and then we can actually hit a shortcut key to see this in high resolution. Now this is the entire book wrap, and so it comes in and we can see if this is actually working, if the colors are coming in correctly, and it looks pretty darn good. So now that we know how this is working, we'll start shooting, we'll get some different options, and then Michael will be giving me some guidance as we're going through this, and this is going to be a spectacular book cover. All right, before I start shooting, I want to show you what each one of these lights do. So I'm going to shoot a photo with just the key light, and then just the fill, and just the hair, and etc. So you can see all of these lights individually, and then we'll put them all together and start shooting. All right, now to show you exactly how we're shooting this and to make sure you understand how we've dialed in the lights, we turned off all of our video lights. This is more what it looks like in real life when we're shooting. Now I'm looking for certain things, specifically shadows on LaShawn's arm and where the light is falling on her face, and so I'll know whether she needs to be positioned more toward the wall or back. And so with all the house lights on, it's almost impossible to see that. So we've turned all that stuff off, and now we're going to start shooting. Now LaShawn is one of the most amazing models that we work with here because she is so emotive, and we had her specifically come in for this shoot because she can look through this window and look like, oh no, the past is crumbling away, and so that's why she's here. And so we're going to be working with her to make sure she is posing exactly the way that we want it to match the plot of the book, and then she's also going to be giving us a lot of emotion that we want. And so we're going to start shooting. We're going to show you this in fast motion, and when we're done, we'll show you the finished result. All right, we're done shooting, but the next thing we need to do is print a proof to make sure everything is working out right. Now, one of the things I love about my Tether Tools table is I can go from shooting, I'm going to roll right over here, and now I'm ready to plug into my printer and start making those proofs. So I'll do that right now. I'm going to unplug this little drive right there. Plug this in. I've got a power outlet over here so we can make sure this is all powered up. But now I'm going to print out our proof on our Epson printer here. We're going to trim it up using this Dale roto trimmer here, and then we're going to make sure that wrap works. And then once that's done, we'll show you our mock-up, and if it looks good, then we can tell LaShawn that she's done for the day. We can send everybody home, and we have our mock-up. We'll throw that over to the art department. They're going to tweak it, make sure it's all photoshopped and perfect, and then that book cover will be ready for our customer. All right, well, we got our proof here, and we're comparing it. So Michael and I are looking at the proof compared to the InDesign document, and we've noticed some things that need to be tweaked a little bit with the bleed in the slug here and some other things. But this gives us a really good starting point. And so what we'll do next is we'll fold this, and then we'll wrap it around a book, and we'll have a proof of concept. All right, and there is our mock-up. We can see that we have our window through time mock-up, and we can go in here now, get it to the art department. They can do some changes to this file, but we know that what we shot works compositionally, and we have a start to finish set, lighting setup, and our proof of concept and a book cover. Pretty cool. Well, thanks so much for joining us this week. I hope you learned a lot. This was a lot of fun, and I love this book cover that we just created. It's a lot of fun. Well, remember, if you have questions about photography, lighting, or any kind of photography gear, you can send those questions to me at askmark@adorama.com. And do not forget, there's tons of past videos and articles and how-tos and product reviews and all kinds of stuff at the Adorama Learning Center. So zip over there and you can learn a lot of stuff. Well, thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you again next week.
This episode is brought to you by Adorama TV. Visit the Adorama Learning Center, where you'll find photography tips and techniques, links to the gear used in this episode, and related videos. For all the latest photography, video, and computer gear, visit adorama.com. And the next time you're in New York City, visit our store, located on 18th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue.
That's 1, 2, 3. Welcome to Adorama TV.
So right over here I have my tether table, and it's magical. And from that I created this very crude lighting diagram, and it's magical. Now we're actually using an orange cable, and it's magical. So what we did is we added this light here. It's got a 5-degree grid, and it's magical. And so we have this reflector right here, and it's magical. That was clunky, wasn't it? Or do you think it worked?
Digital Photography One-on-One is written and produced by Snap Factory. For more information about our workshops, visit snapfactory.com.